Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy Sunday to join me. You feel me? I really appreciate that. And fresh off of a small meltdown after getting 5 minutes into a video, 4 minutes and 31 seconds to be fair, of which was actually a different topic, and I was liking the way that was going. But as you know, here on Vlogs About Nothing, we're a one take operation, and if we don't get it on that first take, then well, we unfortunately don't get it because now I've moved on, and we're not going to talk about that tonight. What we are going to talk about is something I think is a little bit more fun. As soon as I remember what that is, we'll definitely start talking about it. But I remember now, all day I've been sort of coming up with these different ideas and stuff. If I haven't already, thank you very much for watching the channel. I mean, I work tirelessly here to ensure that your experience with nothing is the best possible experience you could have. Because otherwise, what's the point? And I'm trying to vibe on energy, you feel me? I'm also trying to be a steady and consistent entertainer, as it would be, for all of your sort of needs when it comes to, I mean, trust me, I am glued to my phone just as much as the next person when it comes to the consumption of content and so forth. So thanks again for finding a place to have me in your schedule, because it really, it validates a little bit of what I'm doing. And, I just can't wait to give back, in all the different kinds of cool ways I think that I can, which starts now because I want to redeem myself, as it would be. As Carlito says, Carlito Brigante, in, Carlito's Way, right next to good old Sean Penn, right? I feel vindicated. I feel lifted. I feel, rejuvenated. Al Pacino gets down. But I do feel like it is some redemption for me. There's on the channel 5 years ago a video that I did. I was at the time trying to make content that revolved specifically around reselling. And, I was at a point in my life where I had just gone through a major breakup and had just moved back to Albuquerque on my own for the first time in like 10 years. I'm not that old. So it was like this whole thing. And I look back on that video and I obviously can't knock myself for doing what I know I intentionally did when I posted these videos, and that is to remind myself not only that, like, there's so much more room for improvement, but instead of the negative things that I take from watching my old videos, I think to myself that, like, I must have been thinking something correct, then, and I just feel like I wasn't ready to give the kind of content that obviously I'm trying to make now, in terms of being in depth and being insightful and trying to bring a kind of soul to the channel, as it would be, because content thrives on, not just the performing of that content, but the actual, the writing of it, like where it comes from and stuff. And I know that, again, in 5 years, I've learned a lot more about reselling, and I'm about to give you guys in 4 minutes what typically took me, 5 years ago, multiple videos and lots of time and effort to produce, which is being successful specifically on eBay requires just a few things. Okay? It requires patience, a little bit of startup capital, and understanding your costs. And then patience, and then more patience. Just like anything in life, all good things require more patience than anything. And if it happens too soon, you can't ever really truly value that sort of success, I'd argue. But you need to find something that you like, obviously, or even if it's something that, what you need to find is a product that doesn't weigh a lot, a product that you can scale, that is cheap to buy bulk. You feel me? And I know all of this sounds easy or whatever, so I'm just gonna tell you, like, what in not easy or whatever, but I'm just gonna tell you a method of how you can become successful on eBay. And I want to put this down too, like, for me on record, in a fact of way, like, I can be helpful to you guys in some ways other than getting a bunch of subs and views and money and doing it that way, I can also try to provide you with the kind of information that I have that I know that can help make you successful, which is like making sure you have a valid eBay account, which you need an email for, which you can't have already used for an eBay account in the past. You got to sign up for one. You got to sign up for an account. They're free. You can list a certain amount of items per month, but again, you can't really expect a lot when you get, eBay's a tiered system, and so each month you'll be granted a different number of items to sell, given that you've performed well with the items that you've posted. I myself take VHS tapes from thrift stores, and I resell those. It doesn't like I resell them because of costs that are associated with running a business. So, for example, you can literally go to your thrift store right now, or look in your closet, or talk to your grandma, or go to a garage sale, and you can find your own VHS tapes, right? You get those VHS tapes and you take pictures of them and you put them on your eBay account. And here's what you consider when you post a VHS tape up for sale on eBay. You consider the following things. How much did that tape cost you? These are always fixed costs, right? And I like doing VHS tapes because there's not any new VHS tapes being made, so the market that is in existence is the only market that remains, because VHS tapes were either often destroyed, or more than even being destroyed, were often just damaged because of different weather in the different parts of the world, as it is, and as it concerns electrical components and magnets and stuff, over the course of time, and the weather and stuff. And so that's why I choose tapes. But if you choose tapes, you just choose the tapes, and obviously you think about what that tape cost you. So, for example, when I pay $1 for a VHS tape, that's a fixed cost. That's $1. The boxes at Walmart that I get to ship the tapes, they're $1.18, but I cut them in half. So I get 2 boxes from one. And so that makes then the cost 59 cents. So that's $1.59 fixed cost off the bat. 7% tax on that from the box or whatever, that's included. So then from there, I think I consider shipping. I factor in shipping, also another fixed cost. They go media mail, and they're about $5, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on what part of the country I'm shipping out to. So from the bat, we have a little under $7 in costs. That's just fixed costs. That doesn't include what would typically include like gas and time as it relates to the consumption of that gas and the use of it and so forth. I happen to not have a car and I walk, and things like that. So it does save in that cost part, as it only then applies to my time, right? How long it takes to walk down to the post office or whatever. So, and then there's eBay fees, right? So everything in business is always a cost. Fixed cost, fixed cost, fixed cost. Uncle Sam, fixed cost. Uncle Sam, there's lots of people in the bread bowl, as it would be. And I think it's important to take that into consideration, because it's you gotta pay to play. You feel me? And you also can't be too greedy, though. So, for example, let's say now I've described you a scenario in which essentially it costs me $7 to $9 in fixed costs every single time I sell a tape on eBay. So out the gates, this is such an anticipated fixed cost loss, in that people, often think that when you accumulate inventory and so forth, it's like automatic profit. But like a tape to me is a cost, because when I see tapes, I'm like, oh, there's $9, there's $9, there's $9. So it's not just a dollar for me, or it's not just a dime or a quarter, or in some cases donated, you know what I mean? Which makes that cost free still. It's still $9. Even if I get the movie for free, I'm still like looking at a $9 bill, essentially, because that's how business operates, And so off the top in my head, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm $9 out. Like, I have this tape that I've sold to somebody, and already $9 has been generated in fake real money, and it has been given to people that aren't me. You know what I mean? So then, like, it's sort of like, well, then how do you become successful within that model? And I mentioned not being greedy because On my eBay store, for example, everything's a fixed cost, even when I buy the tapes, and then I later find out that some of them are worth more because I look each individual tape up, and that's when scarcity and supply and demand factor into a market-based principal economy of which a commodity exists that is in limited supply and thereby can be dictated by the fundamental rules of capitalism and a free market. You know what I mean? So again, I love playing the game, but that's how it works. You get these tapes, you think to yourself, that's a $9 cost. So on eBay, if I'm selling each tape for $14 as an automatic fixed cost for every tape, regardless of what it is, then I know to myself that there's a $5 leftover difference on that. Now, it's not a lot, right? Making $5, only keeping $5 out of every 14, you're not even keeping 50% of your own money. Furthermore, I still got to pay taxes on that. Furthermore, it still adds to an increasing bottom line that gets lower every day with other fixed costs that include storage, maintenance, time, all of these other things that factor into what a market product is. And so let's just say, ideally speaking, I've generated $14, it's cost me $9. I've created $5 in fake real money. You know what I mean? With that $5, I can then think to myself that the tape cost me $1. So the tape is my one fixed cost bottom line low denominator that I use to bear metrics across what the real cost of my profit is and how much of my profit has to go out to paying other fixed costs, which then makes my profit lower, my net profit. You know what I mean? And so automatically with the fixed costs at 9, we net 5. But then I think to myself, I spent $1 on the tape, but I've increased the value of the dollar that I spent on the product by 500%, right? But again, 33% of that, let's say taxes, let's say another 17 or so to like there's a lot still involved that come out even from that 5. After that 5, it's again a never-ending cycle of people putting their hands in the money jar, and that's how free market works. That's how capitalism works. I'm okay with that. It's just you have to have more money to use so that people have more access so they can utilize like their hands to put in to take out. You know what I mean? That's how like the economy works. That's how economics works. Like I know I've just told you how to successfully scale up an eBay store with a product like a VHS tape. And you can imagine that there does become some serious potential for profit when you're making $5 for every tape and you're selling 15 to 20 a day. And this just could be in any product or whatever. People laugh at me because they don't think that people still buy VHS tapes when I know they do. I know they do because I sell them. I sell hundreds of them every single year with the exception of last year. So it's sort of like, and I have since I started selling them. Again, so I've just been unsuccessful in my own sort of miserable, failed kind of way in that every time I scaled up an eBay store to a good point, I always let it fall off and got distracted and met women and did other things, you know what I mean? And like always, I lost my inventory. I lost my eBay account, like my, standing within the eBay community. And so like it's I've already gone through all the negative impacts that people I don't want other people to go through in terms of I know what works and I know what doesn't when it concerns selling on eBay. And if you follow what I just told you, then you'll be successful on eBay. You know what I mean? But like that, it's an relentless effort to build your product base in your store. It's a relentless effort to ship your products out in a timely manner. There's other metrics that are involved like to complete the whole model of being the best sort of representation of what a company can be. And again, I know this because I've spent half my life figuring out what I think a good company should be in any sort of industry. And I think that just now approaching the age of 40, I'm getting somewhere. And I just also know that I appreciate all of y'all's time tremendously. And that, if you ever have any questions in the future or anything, there'll be ways to reach out to me and so forth so that I can maybe help you in your venture. But there's really nothing that I can help you with that you can't help yourself out with, and that you need to be patient, and you can't expect to be rich overnight. And if you want to build a long and sustainable business with healthy profit margins and the potential for large scale success, however that applies to you in your situation. I know myself that I'll scale this company up and make it so that it's employee owned, sort of like an intranet of business economics, right? In that I'd much rather have my employees work for the company and own the company than I would employees work for a company that's then represented by, corporate interests or even union interests at that. Like, I'm interested in what my staff and what my employees want, not so much interested in what the other areas of like what corporate boards want or what, union boards want. I mean, there's just an additional third entity that provides more cost, And so, yeah, there's eBay 101, you know what I mean? It took me 16 minutes, but I feel like that speech was a little bit better than the 1 minute and 18-second speech that's on from 5 years ago talking about how OfferUp and eBay are different or whatever I was saying back then. Regardless, I do look a little like I did then because back then it also looked like I had just fallen into a mud sort of pit and was just out of it, and my face was like had muddy patches on it, because I don't like facial hair, but here I am with facial hair, and I'm probably gonna complain about it many more times to come. So I hope that you guys have a lovely evening, and again, thank you very much for your time. All right, bye.